Jeremy Perkins, I appreciate you hanging out, man. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Definitely. So what I've got is you have a lot of employees and you've been building it for 10 plus years now?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly.
What's the name of the company?
Precision Medical Products.
Awesome. So let's go back to that. But before we get into that company and kind of dig into the nuances, where'd you start? How'd you get into business in the first place?
Yeah, so I'll get a quick high level and then I'll reverse it for
Love
you.
it. Yeah.
So Precision Medical Products is nation's largest DVT prevention. So in terms of surgeries in a hospital, the number 2 way people die is from blood clots. So that's kind of our mission is, and we save a really high number of lives each year. We don't know the exact number because it's hard to know like which lives you saved or not, but
Sure.
we prevent blood clots. That's kind of our passion the last decade.
What is DVT?
Deep vein thrombosis. So it's, you get usually a blood clot occurs in your leg, it moves up your body and it creates a pulmonary embolism. And then you die from that. So they call it a silent killer. People don't know about it. And then they just end up dying. And it's literally the 100, the 500 ways you can die in a hospital. This is number 2 out of, whatever the amount is.
What's number 1?
Infections.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Infections are like the leader by a lot. So that's our passion. And we've been doing that. The company's 13 years old. We've really specialized in the DVT prevention for the last probably 11 and a half of the 13. And that's been kind of like why we get up in the morning and, there's 100 different business ideas, but this is like what keeps me really, really focused is preventing blood clots. We have, I think it's about 320 W-2 and 1099 employees or W-2 employees and 1099 independent contractors that work with us. And we will do a little over 80 million this year.
Okay.
But we started in the garage. So I'll kind of tell you how I began. So,
yeah, great.
Grew up in Sacramento, California. I was always like a young hustler. Like when I was in 3rd grade, I was selling like candy to kids at recess and lunchtime and was always trying to like make money, we grew up pretty poor. So I saved up money through, high school, try and buy a car. And then when it came time to, my first car was a Geo Metro.
Nice. Classy.
Yeah.
Got a lot of dates that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it cost like $3,400 and saved up, bought it. But I grinded, I worked for every penny I had. I didn't have enough money for college. So I went to a junior college locally in Sacramento, hated it, and then ended up moving to Central California, went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. At Cal Poly, I had to pay for school. I went and knocked on doors in the summertime. So I sold books door to door in college.
Southwestern.
Yeah.
I love it.
Do you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love it. So I grew up selling Cutco knives.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is a overlapping model. It's not the same,
very
but
similar.
it's
Yeah.
in-home presentation.
Yeah.
You're going to sell them right there or it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you move on.
Yeah. And I think to this day, so the first year I did when I was 19 years old. It was just to pay for school. There's no other. I saw a poster out and I was like, I don't even know what it was. It said summer internship. And I was like, oh, summer internship. Perfect.
Yep.
And then, so we went and sold books door to door, 80 hours a week for, 3 months of the summer.
Woo.
Super hard. You're talking to over 1,000 people that summer doing sales presentations. And I was really bad. I was like one of the worst salespeople in the whole group the first summer. And then I actually didn't want to go back the next year and do it because I hated it so much. But those guys are good at convincing you to, come back and do it. So I came back and I was a manager and ended up doing it for all 4 years of college. Saved up enough money through college to buy a house my senior year and bought a house down in San Luis Obispo. But those moves is what actually ended up helping me start my business because I made $200,000 or $300,000 on that home purchase. Held it for 3-4 years. We always had. It was a 4-bedroom house. We had like 6 or 8 people in it at all times. We packed that thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did you pack it with Southwestern people or was this after?
Every year there was different people in and out of that thing. I think there was 1 or 2 Southwest, but it was just buddies in college. It's college. Just
awesome.
How many people can you throw in one bedroom?
I love it. Let me ask you something about Southwestern because I want to pull it to today. But do you remember the ratios? Like how many doors you had to knock on to get an appointment? How many appointments you ended up closing?
Yeah.
Roughly?
So I did Southwestern I was anti-Southwestern beginnings. Like I didn't want to do it. I was like, I hate sales. I hate salespeople. I hate knocking on doors. Like I didn't like anything about it. But I learned through the process that like I really needed it because it was like communication skills. It was, like even to this day, me talking to a doctor, I don't get nervous at all. It's like I've done this year. I've done so many sales presentations in my life. It's just not that big of a deal for me.
Yeah.
So I think it helped a lot. But so there's two ways to do Southwestern. You can either work in like a city, small town, or you can work country. So if you do city, then you're probably talking to, I'd say you knock on about 100 doors a day. You try and do 30 demos where you just talk to somebody at the door, and then you try and get 10 sit down presentations. Those are the numbers they use. And out of the 10, you want to close 3 out of 10. That's kind of the math. But if you work country, like what I did, I drove around my car and worked out in the country. You don't see as many people in a day, but then the ratios are a lot higher. So if you knock on somebody's door in the country, they're way more likely to let you in because they're like, oh, you drove like 2 miles out down this dirt road in Iowa. We'll sit down with you for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
is the closing percentage any higher in the country?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely more open-minded. So I'd say the closing percentage, but you don't see as many people in a day. Like in a city, you see 100 people, let's say. In the country, you might see 20 maybe, or 15. So.
Even so, I mean, a 30% a 30% close ratio on the sit downs is rough. Like 30% yeses means that 70% no's sucks.
Yeah.
And then getting doors slammed in your face the whole time.
Yeah.
That's a brutal sales pipeline.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Yeah.
So if there's like, what I speak to colleges from time to time, what I recommend to any college student, it's like a huge life lesson. I always want to be a stockbroker. So I was doing this whole thing selling door to door, but I'm like, I'm gonna be a stockbroker one day. I'm gonna be a stockbroker. And it was good. It definitely trained me. So out of college, I was a stockbroker for 2 years, and I was the worst stockbroker ever. Even I had like 53 brokers at Edward Jones in Sacramento. I was like number 52 or 53 every month for 2 years. Even brand new people come in and pass me like their first month. They're like, whoa, I passed you right away. I'm like, I'm a horrible stockbroker. And it's just because at the core, I wish I would have done an internship in college and actually taken the time to really learn that industry. I would have learned that it wasn't really for me per se. So I didn't enjoy, trying to convince people to buy bonds and it just wasn't my thing, So it's kind of a life lesson. So I quit Edward Jones and this is where it transitions into this one in medical device sales. I had some friends in medical device. They loved it. And it was awesome for me to wake up every morning and help people. At the time, we were helping patients grow bone. It was a bone growth stimulator. It was the first company I worked with. And I really liked it. It did really well. So I went from being this stockbroker that couldn't sell anything to being like one of the top reps in the nation, all just a totally different job.
Wow.
Same skill set, same everything. I think it's really important people find what they're good at. And this is like kind of mentioned before, I'm writing a book because I think there's so much misleading stuff on social media where people are like, don't give up, don't do this. Sometimes it's actually good for people to give up. Like if you're like, for me, I just sucked at stockbroker for 2 years. It was in my best interest to like go find something new, and so I think that's sometimes a misconception people have is that you have to just ground and pound for years and years and years. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's best to find a new strategy, find something new, and make sure your heart's in that. So
let me ask you about that because functionally on a lot of levels, sales is sales. Though the type of sales you do, short cycle, long cycle, which is it a relationship sale or not, tangible, intangible, high dollar amount, low dollar amount, et cetera. All those things do play in to the sales opportunity. What do you think it was going from the Southwestern book sales to being a stockbroker and selling to this new sales position, selling medical devices, that allowed you to excel?
It's actually a brilliant question because there's two parts to it. So sales is sales. I did sales training for like 4 years. I teach all these sales skills, and I was so indoctrinated that sales, it doesn't matter what you sell, everybody sells something. And if you could sell, I agree. But like once I got into medical device, what I learned is there's a lot of great salespeople. Like in medical device is so hard because they interview 1,000 people to get it down, or 1,000 people send in a resume and 10 will get an interview and they select one. It's like very, very, very the best of the best salespeople out there. And so I agree with that. I think you have to have formal sales training experience, but a lot of people do. There's a lot of people in the US that have really good sales training, and then you end up going against the best of the best. And for us, what we learned the first 6 years of the business, it might be a big takeaway for people that have companies. We spent less time on selling and more time on like, what is it that like as a company, what's a strategy? Like what Tesla does. Tesla doesn't need any good salespeople, right? I mean, they have a great product. Like
rating fans.
Yeah. I listened to this podcast once where Elon Musk, like we spend $0 on marketing every year. And I don't know if that's today, and maybe it was like 4 or 5 years ago, but they don't spend any money on marketing because they make such a good product. So for us, we went and spent, it took us 3 years to do it, but we went and got all the patents. We redesigned our unit. We made this thing badass. It was there. Like even to this day, if I put you if I didn't tell you what our product was and I put all 4 products on the thing, you laugh like, dude, this one right here. It's like tubeless, cordless, small, modern. Like we're the only company in the last 10 years that's even changed our product. We spent so much money on that we made it pretty easy for, in my opinion, for our sales reps to sell something. Because they go in and they just compare it. You really don't have to. I mean, the sales reps we have do a phenomenal job of getting in front of doctors, getting in front of surgery centers, getting in front of decision makers. That's the hard part, right? I think that's where the sales comes in. Because like just getting that appointment and building that relationship is the hard part. If you can ever get your business to a place where you have the number one product on the market, then that's a difference maker. You know, I think a lot of my friends and people I know that are become entrepreneurs, they go white label some product from China and they're trying to sell it. And at the end of the day, it's just like 100 other companies and so they're having to like really, the thing that sets them apart is their sales ability because their product's very similar. You know, I think if you can take a step back and focus on strategy, because at the beginning we were selling a Me Too product. We sold a lot of Me Too products. We had 30 products that were just like everybody else in the market. There's nothing that really set us apart. It's like good customer service, good sales. But the last really 5 or 6 years, we spent a lot of money on like remote patient monitoring, tying in data to our device. Like we just did things that nobody else did. And it really, really set us apart. I don't know if that answers your question, per se. So like sales is important.
Yeah.
But then as like a strategist, because I read this data, blew me away. I always thought like these salespeople became successful and it's like the people that the most impactful entrepreneurs. And if you look at that list of billionaires, I don't know if you've ever seen this data, but it's actually introvert versus extrovert. Have you ever seen this stat? It's pretty crazy.
No.
I would think that extroverted people are more successful in life because they're like salespeople. They're
charismatic, open, connect with people.
Yeah, the
deal closers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Richard Branson type, like tell amazing stories, you buy into their vision. It's actually the opposite. Like introverts make up something like 85 or 90% of billionaires.
Interesting.
It's astronomically higher towards introverts because they spend so much time on strategy. And if you look at like Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, like you just go down the list of like Warren Buffett, like you look at all those people, what they did. I mean, Elon Musk, like they're more strategy. How do we really change the world? That kind of stuff. So I think that's what we've really done. We've pivoted. We're still really good at sales and all that, but it's more like, how can we change healthcare? What's the strategies? What are the patents? What can we do? And kind of rethinking that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And so you have heavy product focus is a major bullet there. But on the initial transition before you founded the existing company, you still found success in medical devices. And presumably you didn't create the product then.
Yeah.
No. So like something there,
was
it your connection to the product or to the industry? Do you think that it was like a passion for something tied to medical devices, or like, why do you think you popped off there?
It's a brilliant question because there's 2 parts to that, right?
Yeah.
Check this out. This is pretty wild. So I'm born and raised in Sacramento, California. There's this thing as an entrepreneur, like we're kind of like, some of us are pretty competitive, and it's like, this became I wasn't very good at, I tried really hard in sports, but I was not very big. I didn't have like any kind of competitive advantage. So business kind of became my sport. When I started the company, there's 3,500 companies in Sacramento. It's like the year 1. I'm like, I want to get like fastest growing company in Sacramento. Well, year 3 out of 3,500, I actually want to get just top 10.